Welcome back, everybody. I hope you guys had a wonderful break, 2 weeks off. Now you get a 3-day weekend this weekend again. We have had no accidents since October. So congratulations. As Todd brought up in our holiday party, Brandy and I talked, and then we talked to Todd. If we can go without a chargeable accident, which means we have to pay money to fix something, whether it's our car or somebody else's, an object, and no workman's comp claims, we will do a safety recognition party separate from your end of the year party. That
Will be alcohol?
probably not alcohol. But you guys won't have to pay, you guys won't have to pay, bring anything, nothing. It will be a party all for you guys, recognizing all that you guys did safety-wise.
Thank you.
Important dates for February. Kendall sends us out the emails every night like she does. For February, we've got President's Day on the 17th. And then I believe it's the 8th, I can't remember the exact day, I didn't write it down, but we have the in-school, the Kane County-wide Teacher Training Day in February. So you guys will not be in that day. Is it the 28th? 28th
27th is half day, 28th is off.
is off, correct. Let's see, Martin Luther King Day, even if your calendar says your school is in session, it is a district-wide closure holiday. Nobody will drive their bus. Let's see. Safety meetings, if you need to miss a meeting for some reason, other than you're on a field trip or because your route is late, you need to come talk to Brandy or I first about it. You cannot just not show up and not say anything. They are mandatory. It is part of your guys' agreement. Let's see, Friday, Bob Shade passed his driver's test, so he is now back as a full-time driver. So we still have 3 open routes and now 1 monitor route. So if you guys know anybody, we've still got it posted. We've still got the sign outside. We have 1 interview next week, or no, today. It's today. Unrelated to transportation, Girl Scout cookies, Katie and I both had a sheet over there. The due date for those is this weekend, so if you were planning to buy some or you did, you still need to pay. You need to pay Katie or I, whoever you got it from, whether that's Venmo, Zelle, cash, check, whatever. With snow, like the unanticipated snow we got this morning, nobody expected it to be as much as we got. We will give you as much notice as we can, if we can, that the mechanics have been called in to plow. But sometimes the mechanics are not called in and all they call in is a salt crew like they did this morning. We're not privy to when they do that. So if there is anticipated icy weather, snow, please try not to show up before 6 o'clock because then we're just in the way of the truck flying around the lot. Just a reminder that in March, we will be giving you guys the calendar and blackout dates for next year. They've announced that calendar already, so we're putting that together for you guys to have it. And we will be giving you guys your letters of assurance in May or April. If you're new and don't know what that is, basically it means that we don't let you guys go over the summer. You don't claim unemployment. The letter of assurance just tells us you're coming back and that you are still hired by the district over the summer. The bus wash machine arrived last week. You guys are in the wash bay, you've seen it. It's the big crate sitting out there. That is getting put together and installed on Tuesday next week. And then we are putting out a posting for a part-time bus washer. So this machine is made for ease of use, that until we get one, if you guys wanted to come in and use it, it has a motorized wheel. You literally just guide it around your bus, and it scrubs and washes, rinses, all of it as it goes around.
Does that part-time bus washer need a CDL? Buses around?
They would not. I've been trying to figure out how that works. So technically, you don't need one if you are staying on the site. It means you wouldn't be able to drive the bus across the street. With buses still at the middle school, that would be a little challenging for this year until the parking lot gets done for next year. But technically, no, the bus washer would not need a CDL. Propane buses, if you have one, you probably noticed that Jeremy has not been starting them the same time as the diesel buses, is because we've been going through an obnoxious amount of propane because they burn through a lot more of it than the diesel buses do. But it also only takes them 5 to 10 minutes to heat up compared to the diesels. So we're messing with those and figuring out if we are even going to keep starting them early on cold days or not. Jeremy normally comes in when it's 15 or below and starts all the diesels that are parked outside. But we may not be doing that with propane for too much longer. Our propane drivers were filling up about every other day or close to it because of it. Update on the buses we ordered. The 13 buses that we ordered at the beginning of the year that we didn't think were gonna show up this year are now going to show up. So we now have 13 buses that are going to be completed from the manufacturer around February, March time. It will probably be here around March, April, May area.
Are they all propane?
No, these are all little buses. These are all 30 passengers. So these are all gasoline. What makes this fun that it's now gonna show up is our 5 propane buses are supposed to show up in May that we ordered just recently, and our 10 other gasoline 30 passenger buses are also supposed to show up in May, June. We're gonna have a lot of buses sitting around that we're gonna have to try and figure out what to do with. Yeah, well, that was the next update. The new parking lot still is on track. They're supposed to start clearing the trees here in the next month or so. And then they're still anticipating it being done by June, July, which thankfully this year won't really affect our summer school because they're gonna be next door and not on our lot.
The 30 passenger buses, are they in between the buses we have now and the large one?
No, they're the same size as our small buses are. It's just, we made sure that the capacity is for 30 passenger.
Okay, and they're all sped?
They're all sped buses, and then there's 4 lift buses in there.
And then how many seats do the lift buses?
The lift buses come fully up, if it's 24 passengers and 1 wheelchair from the factory, but then we take seats out and adjust them to what we need to.
Okay.
Any questions on anything?
How many wheelchair buses will there be?
It's gonna be 5 total. 4 come in the February, March delivery, and then the next 10 has 1 wheelchair in it.
Which ones will you replace, just out of curiosity?
80 through 83, and I think it's 84 or 85 is the other one. I can't remember the last one, but all the Collins ones are getting replaced. Any other questions before I hand it over to Brandy? All right.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so we're gonna play Kahoot. If you haven't already logged into your phones, if you can please go into your, again, it's easier if you go to Safari or your Google. Don't go to the app. The app will give you more problems. You're not gonna log in with a password or username. You're just going to go to kahoot.com, and then at the top of the page will say play, right next to a big green button that says sign up for free.
H-O-O-T.
So it would look like this, and then there should be a green button, that says sign up free, and then play. You're just gonna click play.
There's a very.
I didn't give the pin yet, I'm trying to show everybody to get on first.
On the very top next to the green button.
This is what you should be looking at right now. If you don't have this, raise your hand, we'll help you out.
She doesn't.
My phone don't want to work.
She has an unusual phone.
Just like I can't punch in. This phone is.
Okay, so you there, you are, what does it do? Like, yeah.
That's it, now you can get a pin. There you go.
Here,
All
okay.
right.
No,
Go ahead and sign it, I'll take it back.
Oh, no, she didn't give it to us yet.
I don't think everybody can hear it.
Play.
Did you sign in?
On the top, that little green button.
You signed the paper though? Okay, he's got it back there. Okay.
Come on. Oh, click the start button, Randy.
Loading game, yeah.
Your name can be whatever, nickname, your name, anybody's name, whatever you want to play.
What's the code?
1258305. There will be 60 seconds to answer each question. If everybody answers but one person, it will sit the entire 60 seconds. If everybody answers, the question will end automatically. So. It's all true and false or multiple choice. And I don't know if you saw it, but it's about field trips.
Good job.
Okay?
Once we sign in, what do we do?
No signing in.
Our meeting,
We have it.
Yeah, just add your name, and then if you say you're ready. As soon as I hit start, you'll get your first question. So, there's 22 of you in here, I got 20 signed up, so I'm waiting for 2 more people.
Peace out. Have fun with your night.
Who needs help getting in? I'm missing 2 people. Now 1.
Are you in?
There.
22, I got 20. I mean 22 players.
You're our third one. Third on top?
Yeah, I see.
Nope, not anymore. Fourth on top.
Who needs help getting in? I got 21, I need 22. Oh, don't make me take attendance. Who's not signed in?
Are you not?
Oh, okay. We can help you. There we go. Okay. So it's this way. So it's. Alright, 1258305.
Yeah.
Okay. Pick a name. If you were logged in one time, don't use the same name, it won't let you use the same name, so log in as a different name. Did everybody sign in? The sign up sheet. Okay, there we go. First question. all drivers are expected to bid on field trips after their 90-day probationary period. True or false?
Blue's true, right?
Yeah, why doesn't it say it on our screen?
What?
It just shows the colors, it doesn't tell you what it
Because the
is.
question's on the screen.
Oh.
Okay, so it is true. It is in your workers' agreement. I took everything out of there, so every question on here is from the workers' agreement, verbatim. So all drivers are expected to bid on field trips after the 90-day probation period. If anybody who's in their 90-day probation period does a field trip earlier, it's because, one, drivers were not signing up. They're experienced drivers, and the director, assistant director, or the driver supervisor can approve for them to bid on field trips early. But all drivers are required or expected to bid on field trips. What are the guidelines for round one of bidding on field trips? Multiple answers, more than one? Oh, a randomizer to find who starts. So we use a randomizer, and then drivers are allowed to give up their route time during the first round. There's a 10-minute rule for PM routes, and then drivers can bid on to-be-announced trips. Click all that apply. There should be more than one.
It just said, let's see if you're correct.
Gotcha. It only lets you do one, and then it's one, but there's more than one answer.
Yes, as soon as you hit one. So then it'll be, as soon as you hit one, it just,
That's fine, then, as long as you got the correct answer, then. So that's why I got it wrong then. I was practicing the test. Alright, so if you clicked any of these three, you were correct. So, to start out has anybody seen a randomizer?
No.
Okay, so at the end of the game, we'll do the randomizer. And I'll show you what it is. But each round we'll start with the randomizer. I don't just pick anybody off the list. So if there's 20 people who signed up, I put it into a randomizer, and then it gives me a number between 1 and 20.
Is that like the lotto balls?
So if it comes up with the number 9, I'll just count down to the 9th driver who bid on a route, and I start with them. Okay? And then the 10-minute rule for the PM. So in the PM, if you can get to your route, if you can get to the field trip destination within 10 minutes of your time, then you're able to bid on that in the first round. But you have to be able to get there within 10 minutes of their start time. So if your last stop is, say, 4:05, and your trip starts at 4:15, if you can get to that destination from your last stop to the school within 10 minutes, we can give you that route. That's the PM 10-minute rule only. But if you have to switch buses from a little to a big, that's not gonna happen. Because you have to factor in your 30-minute pre-trip. And then drivers can bid on a to-be-announced trips. With that being said, once they give us the official times, if they interfere with your route, you then can turn it back without it being penalized against you, because it would be given up route time. So sometimes the to-be-announced field trips are going to be evening ones, so it won't interfere with your route. Therefore, you can keep that route. But if it's during the day and takes over your route time, you can either, one, keep that route still, the field trip, or give it back and you won't get penalized for a turn back. Does anybody know what turn back what consequences are for turning back a field trip?
I don't.
Okay, so
You can do it once,
now you do it 4 times.
4 times.
So if you miss a trip, meaning that you overslept, you forgot you even had the trip, you came to the safety meeting instead of going to your trip, you went home instead of going to your trip, that's considered a missed trip. You didn't do it, we had to find somebody else, you missed your trip, okay? First one of a missed trip, you lose the ability to bid on field trips for the very next week, and you will lose up to 1 field trip. So if you missed today's field, say there was a field trip today and you missed it, you would not be able to bid on field trips that come down on Wednesday for next week. If they're already up there, we would cross your name off, and that was your 1 consequence. If you do it twice, you lose the ability to bid on field trips the rest of the school year. So if you accidentally did it twice in August, you would not be able to bid on a field trip until the following school year. With a turn back, it's 2 turnbacks for whatever reason equals 1 missed. So if you turn back 4 field trips, that equals 2 misses. You'll be ineligible to bid on field trips for the rest of the school year. Any questions?
If they're already up, do you have to, if you are gonna take one away, say you have 3 trips, you pick which one you wanna take from us? Or do we get to say, hey, we'll miss that one?
You'll lose all of them. What are you talking about?
Oh, all of them?
Yeah,
Okay.
with the minimum of missing 1, yes.
What if you have an emergency? Still the same?
It depends, I mean, that would have to be up to discretion to the director, the assistant director, supervisor. So, but again, if you're in the hospital and you can't do your field trip, there's a circumstance, you can't even drive. Okay, but I've gotten turnbacks because you wanted to go out of town and you changed your mind, you don't want to do your field trip
I
anymore.
can understand that.
So things like that, that's a turn back, you know. If you schedule a doctor's appointment 2 months in advance and you forgot about it, you already knew about your doctor's appointment for 2 months and you've been on a field trip. So that wouldn't be excused. So certain circumstances. Drivers can be assigned more than 1 trip in a day, except when school is not in session. True or false? A driver can be assigned more than 1 trip in a day, except when school is not in session. So on a Saturday, Sunday, or holiday, you cannot do 2 trips. But on Monday through Friday, we're in session, you can do 2 trips. True. Many drivers do that right now. You can do a trip in between your AM and PM route, and then you can also do a trip in the afternoon after your route. So a driver can do 2 field trips in 1 day. On a Saturday, Sunday, and holiday, you can only do 1 trip. If your 1 trip comes back late and then you don't get to your second one, there's no one here to cover you. So there's only 1 trip on weekends and holidays. Any questions? What are the guidelines for round 2? In red, trips are highlighted in yellow. Reg Ed drivers can bid on a trip and forfeit their route time. There's a randomizer to find out who we start with, or all of the above.
Just pick one.
Pick one. Oh, that should be the internet, I don't know. Correct, all of the above. So in the second round trip, they will all be highlighted in yellow. So when it goes to the left side of the board, and I divide the page in half either by yellow round 2 or orange round 3 or blue round 1, yellow. You want to make sure you're bidding on the correct side with the right one. Otherwise, we cross your name off because you've been on the wrong sheet. I don't just move your numbers over. Okay? Reg Ed, so if you're driving a big bus, you can forfeit your time in round 2. So if you want to do those Monday or Friday bowling field trips, and you just want to shuttle high school back and forth, you can forfeit your route and do that for us instead. And then also randomizer. We'll do that at the end. Each round will have a randomizer. So if we get new buses in round 1, so if we get new field trips for a round 1, we would not do a randomizer again. We start with the person so if Paul got the last field trip in round 1, we're gonna start with the person after him, which is Marvin, I think. Not Marvin. Yeah, Marvin. I memorized your seniority kind of. All right, any questions? Okay. What are the guidelines for round 3? All drivers can bid on field trips and forfeit route time. Trips are highlighted in orange. And drivers can exceed 40 hours in 1 week to guarantee a driver for each trip, or all of the above. It is not all of the above because of the yellow. Drivers can exceed 40 hours in 1 week to guarantee a driver is for every trip. There are times you may go over, but we don't, that's not our rule. We don't do overtime, so our goal is never to go over 40. If a trip gets close to it, we take trips away. So, but the other two are correct. So all drivers, sped and redheads can bid on field trips, they can give up route time, and then trips are again, like I said, in orange.
I got a question.
Yep,
So, okay, so the 40 hours. So
yep.
how do you know which drivers are getting close to those hours?
Because it's a worksheet. We have a worksheet that we calculate, so we have your guaranteed route times that you guys do daily.
Oh, okay.
And then, as you are assigned a field trip, I put in I put in those times inside the spreadsheet, and it calculates what your total is.
Okay.
So, when I do that, I do also calculate your pre-trip time and then your post-drive back. So I make sure all your drive time is included inside that so that we don't exceed 40 hours. Okay? Okay, so new trips within the same week are highlighted in purple, and bidding will start with the last person assigned in the round one. Why do you think this is false?
Sped is purple.
Correct, sped is purple. So, I can't give every answer to you guys correctly, I'll throw in a little trick there. So sped is purple, what color is round one?
Blue.
Correct, blue. So if I would have said round one is highlighted in blue, everything else in that sentence is correct. So you've got to watch the colors so that you guys know what you're bidding on. We've had drivers bid on a sped route, highlighted in purple, and didn't know it was sped, and they didn't want to do it. Sped routes are also $1 more. So. Any questions?
Is it canceled? You do that in purple too?
Cancel is pink.
Okay.
And also, if you have any questions on what the color coding is, there are a sign on each board with what the colors are meaning. Now, when we assign field trips, Kelly likes to make a rainbow and who we assign them to, just so she highlights, so we don't overlooking the numbers. But that doesn't matter. It's what's actually the bid sheets and what they're assigned on. Those are the colors you're looking at. Okay? All right, after arriving to the field trip destination, a driver can do the following. There's more than one answer that's correct, but once you get to your destination, what can the driver do? Leave the location and go home and return before the end of the trip? No. Leave the event to get food and return quickly? Leave the event because the coach said the students don't need a ride home? Or clean your bus, read a book, watch the event? Which of the above is true? There's more than one answer that's correct, but I guess your phones only allow you to do one. If I want to pay for the app, I could probably get more things, but I don't think this is necessary for that. All right. So, leaving the location to go home and return before the end of the trip, that's a no-no. However, if you do read your agreement, if you get it approved by the director or the assistant director, Doug, you can take your bus home. Okay, but it has to be approved. So, say your mom's at your house, she's sick, and you gotta make sure you gotta check in on her because your field trip's close to nearby. You can ask for that special permission, go home, but then get back to the trip. You're not going there to spend your 8 hours. You're just going there, do what you have to do, and get back. So, on special circumstances, yes, that is it, is approved. With that being said, though, you need to deduct the mileage because we're not billing the high school for you to drive there and back. So when you do things like that, you need to deduct your mileage. Same thing where if you were to leave, like the blue one says, you can leave and get food and come back. You're deducting the mileage to go get the food and come back.
How much is the mileage?
They say, in the handbook, it says within 15 minutes. So, but again, if there's severe weather, you're staying there, you don't want to drive a half hour to get something, we always suggest bringing food with you, but they say within 15 minutes. When I did the trip sheets, it was less than 10 miles. So I would track it less than 10 miles, otherwise I would deduct for it.
So do we write that in our notes?
Correct. You're supposed to.
In our correct mileage, we still put in the?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I got a question.
Yes.
So, I didn't get a field trip.
Mhm.
So I told the coach I was going to walk to my mother's apartment. Which I did walk and I left the bus there, but I told him I was coming right back. Didn't move the bus, I left it there.
Did you, okay, so you just walked there?
I just walked there,
Okay.
to Washington and then over there.
I mean, that's like if you were gonna go for a walk around the block and then come back, I mean, you gotta waste 5-6 hours, so I mean, I guess it's fine, the bus didn't go anywhere.
It didn't go nowhere.
But the coach had your phone number in case they
Yeah,
need
I
you
always,
in
I
back?
always
So,
do that,
the
yeah.
whole idea is you're there for the coach and the students, so you gotta make sure you're there when they're ready to leave or if there's an
Right.
emergency, yes.
But I thought it was
Does she get charged for step?
No. This one came up over Christmas break, because a lot of the coaches were coaching more than one team, so this came up a lot. Leave the event because the coach said the students don't need a ride. I talked to Matt, and that is not correct. So if you're gonna be the only bus there, so I know the track team at the middle school is a lot of, you go there, but the kids won't come back home with you, but it's not designated as a drop. You are to stay at the event until the event ends in case there was an emergency. Okay, so the coach can say that I don't need you, you can leave, but you, in a field trip, you are to stay there until the event is over. But now over Christmas break, we had it to where 3 drivers were there and they were kind of like on a different schedule. So the drivers stayed there until the next bus showed up and then they came home. So there's always at least one bus there, so in case there's an emergency, you are there to help and then get them out. Okay? Any questions on that one? Okay, so we're still in a safety meeting, so everybody needs to be either off their phones, not talking to other people, and not bidding. We're in the middle of a safety meeting still. Okay, otherwise we're gonna move everybody up closer, and we're gonna be all close by. Okay? Field trips with multiple buses should do what? Travel together in a convoy. Seniority driver leads and is responsible for setting the route taken. Everyone stays together. And the primary goal is always safely transporting our students, sorry. Always safely transporting our students. Why is it a freebie?
Yeah.
That's what they thought yesterday too.
Oh, really?
Yep. And Matt even questioned me this morning.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So every answer is correct except for the convoy, and that was discussed yesterday. They were like, you have to be in a convoy, we're staying together. You're not creating a convoy, okay? So verbatim from your safety, or from your working agreement, it says here, everyone follows the same route, and while drivers are expected to travel together, We do not make a convoy nose to tail, nor do we ever pass one another. So verbatim from your workers agreement. I had to throw something in there to trick you guys, see if you guys actually read it. But again, the convoy one is not correct. You are going to go together, you will form a line, but you're not going to go nose to tail, and we don't pass, okay? For leaders, if the director or assistant director want to change it and have somebody else, we can assign somebody else and not a seniority driver. But mostly it's a seniority driver who's going to place the buses in line, pick the route, and go, okay? When we go to Great America, it's supposed to be the same thing. I know last year there was an issue with some of the drivers, and so we had 2 going together and 3 going together, but the whole idea is to stay together. Okay? Any questions besides the convoy one? All field trips are numbered sequentially, meaning bus 1 of 2, 2 of 1. If a bus is not needed, the last bus is canceled. True or false? Okay, so according to the work, well, let's just say it's been done in the past where the last person assigned to the route or to the field trip. So if there was 5 buses, the last one who was assigned to one was the one that got canceled. So that could be a seniority driver or not. And it's also been to where it was the lease of seniority got canceled. So whether they had the first one, so like over Christmas break, we had 3 buses going to Devil's Head. And we had 1 seniority driver and 2 that were not. And one of our least seniority drivers was bus 1. Our seniority driver was bus 2. And then the one in the middle was bus 3. So following this rule, which is in your workers agreement, the last bus that was not needed got canceled. So it wasn't the most seniority, it was the least seniority, it was the one in the middle that got canceled because it was bus 3. So if all 5 buses showed up to school, bus 5 would be the one that got canceled if they didn't want all of them. So it's always the last bus. 5 of 5, 3 of 3, 2 of 2, the last bus is the one that's canceled. Any questions? Okay. Field trips are a 2-hour minimum for the following reasons. Click all that up, oh, let's click 1. Field trip is dropped only, less than 2 hours. Meaning, okay, it's only a drop. So you drop them off at the high school for swim and then come back. Driver arrives at the school and the trip is canceled without prior notification, which would happen to Doug over Christmas break. Driver arrives at a garage and punches in without notification that the trip has been canceled. So we're already on the clock, we're doing the pre-trip, and then we get notification that it was canceled. We're all of the above.
Less than 2 hours.
It's all of the above. So when a driver arrives at the school and a trip is canceled without prior notice, like I said, Doug did this over Christmas break. He got to the school and the coach was like, I never scheduled anything. Well, I didn't make the schedule, but anyways, doesn't matter. Doug still got 2 hours. He won't get the full time, he gets the 2. 2 hour, when I say a field trip is a drop, our 3 o'clockers always do a drop to the swim to the high school in West Chicago, and they come back. He's done by 3:54, it's less than 2 hours, but we pay him 2 hours. And then, again, like I said, I explained it when I was reading it off for notification for that one. The only time you'll never get a 2 hour is actually when a permanent sub, if they are assigned a trip during their route time, they won't get 2 hours. They'll just complete the trip within their time and that's it. So the permanent subs are the ones that do not get that 2 hour minimum, okay? So if they're doing, technically if they're doing a 3 o'clock route, so Heartland's bus route, and he has to do the swim team, that's all within their time, so they actually don't get any field trip time. No extra time, no, if there's a trip that ends at 5 o'clock and they're 4:20, they only get the time from 4:20 to 5 o'clock and that's it. Okay, so they don't get the 2-hour minimum. Drivers can trade field trips to avoid a turnback. True or false?
Like just with each other?
Yep. Behind our back, you can say that Lockett no longer wants to do his trip, so John wants to do it for him. So they trade it out, they come to me and tell me they're gonna do it. Or they just go ahead and do it themselves. And then they're different drivers doing it, so. False. Can't do that behind our back. You cannot trade. I have to bid it out to everybody. So you can't pick and choose who you want to cover your field trip. We have to allow everybody who's interested and available to be able to do the trip. So you will still get a turn back. Can't trade it out.
Is that still against you?
If you turn it back, yeah, turn back to turn back. So, now, okay, so I'll give you a scenario. Mike got, right before we left for Christmas break, Mike got the activity route. Well, we did field trips 2 weeks prior to that. So when we got back, he was already assigned a trip for last week. Well, he was doing activity route, so he had to do a turn back. Okay? So it's one of those scenarios, he's actually assigned a route now permanently, so he had to turn that back in. But he tried getting somebody else to do it for him. I actually bid it out to everybody. And when I did that, there was like 5 of you who actually were interested in it. So you picking somebody else to take it, you would have hurt 4 people who wanted to bid on it. So we're not trying to cheap anybody, get anybody else. Only fair for biggest bid. When calculating your clock in time for field trip, for a field trip, you will consider the following. We get this question all the time. What time do I have to clock in? What time do I clock out on a field trip? So when you're trying to figure out your time to clock in, you need to consider your pre-trip time, and if you get it, your travel time, and your arrival time. Or all of the above, one of these. What do you?
Arrival time to where?
The field trip, the destination, your pickup. So if you were looking at your trip sheet, there would be an arrival time to get at the high school or at middle school or one of the elementary schools. It's all of the above. You have to consider, do you need a pre-trip or you don't? Your travel time to each of the schools. I'll talk about that, but later on, because we have questions about that. And then your arrival time. And there's another question later on about that, so I won't discuss that right now. But all 3 of these are considered when you get your trip. Okay? If you want a cheat sheet, I have created one because in the agreement, it's 4 pages long. I made it down to 1. So your pre-trip time is 17 minutes, 15 minutes, or 30 minutes. Your pre-trip time. Every time you pre-trip, how much time do you get? Red is 17, blue is 15, or orange color is 30, or none of the above. 15 minutes. You get 15 minutes to pre-trip your bus. Everybody says, well, I get 2 minutes to walk to my bus. That is also included in your 15-minute pre-trip. That's why your routes, your daily routes, that's 15 minutes. Your 2-minute walk and your pre-trip time.
For a field trip or for,
You always get 15 minutes pre-trip.
okay, but then on weekends you get 17 or nights? For the
That
walking?
is considered your pre-trip, your arrival time, everything.
So the 17 is only for subs, correct? They get the 2-minute walking time?
No.
No? Has it changed?
So if you don't have a pre-trip time, you have a walk time. But your 2-minute walk is included in your 15 minutes.
Mhm.
So when they come up with that 7, we'll keep going. It's in these questions here. We will discuss, I understand what you're saying, but the same thing is for you. Subs don't get special treatment to you guys. It is the same for a sub as it is for you. They don't get extra time to pre-trip, they don't get extra time to walk. We are all equals when it comes to this, okay?
Is that new?
Nope.
So,
It's in your workers' agreement, nothing in here is new. Travel time to a school is, when you go to Harrison and you get 15 minutes, when you go to a school on the east side, which is high school, Western, Williamsburg and St. Peter, you get 10 minutes. Schools on the west side of Randall, which is Fabian and Heartland, middle schools and Mill Creek, you get 5 minutes, or all of the above. This is your travel time. These are all your travel times, according to your working agreement. I didn't create them, this was done before I even got here 3 years ago. These are your travel times to each of these schools. Okay, so if you have a trip at the high school, you get 10 minutes to travel there, your 2-minute walk, and then your additional time that we're gonna discuss here in a question. 1 second. Any questions on the travel times to these schools? You should arrive at the school 5 minutes prior to your pickup time. True or false? It's true. Everybody. A sped driver, a regular ed driver, a sub driver, all need to arrive at field trips if they can, 5 minutes ahead of time. So your travel time to Harrison's 15 minutes, arriving there 5 minutes ahead of time, and then you get your 15-minute pre-trip. So if you get a field trip at Harrison and you're on the weekend on a Saturday or switching from a small bus to a big bus, you get 35 minutes. If you go to a school on the east side of Randall, high school, St. Peter's and all those, you get 10 minutes to travel, 5-minute arrival time, so that's 15. If you get a pre-trip, you get 15 minutes, that's why it's always usually 30. Or you get the 10, the 5, and the 2-minute walk. So that's why it's 17.
Wait, say that again, the 10 to 5 and the
So
2?
if you don't need a pre-trip, you get the
Okay.
10-minute travel, the 2-minute walk, and the 5-minute arrival. That's why it's 17
Okay.
minutes. If your trip does not include a pre-trip time, what time should you consider? Travel, 2-minute walk to a bus, arrive 5 minutes early, or all of the above? Okay, all of the above, we just talked about it. Your travel time, 15, 10, or 5 minutes, your 2-minute walk, and your 5-minute early arrival. Any questions? Clock out times are determined by, so now after a field trip, what do we consider? Do we consider the travel time back to your, from location to the school? 2-minute walk, your post-trip, or all of the above? I would just keep watching. I mean, if you try to log in back in, you just gotta do your different name. But you won't be able to pick up your score, not that the score at the end matters, but. Like, I don't make these, I literally went through the agreement and did everything from the agreement. Yep. So, I understand that you're supposed to do a post trip when you guys return your bus. But,
See, that's what I was.
but in the agreement, what it's considered is your travel time and your 2-minute walk. So if you're at the high school, you get 10 minutes plus a 2-minute walk to clock out, and that's what it is. So, that's when the drivers come in and say, I needed to fuel my bus, I need to sweep my bus. On your trip sheet, you're gonna write, I fueled my bus and I swept my bus, I had to clean it because the players were dirty. And then we don't deduct your time. The trip sheet is very informative to Kendall or I, whoever's doing them, because it tells us why you took you longer. Because the time that the coach writes on there is the time we're starting from. Okay? So if the coach is signing out, if you had 3:30, then from 3:30 to the time you clock out, that's the time we're looking at.
But you still have to walk the bus. So if they sign at 3:30, you still have to walk the bus, just double check to make sure.
I
I always tell them to do it
So-
before the time.
That's another question. Give me a second.
And you asked.
There's another question here. The 10-minute rule applies to the AM. So remember we talked earlier about the 10-minute rule for the PM is in first round. But when can we do the 10-minute for the AM in second and third round? Is it true or false? I just gave you the answer. So in one of our first questions, I said that in round 1, the 10-minute rule for the PM, meaning if you drop off at 4:05 and you get to the high school within 10 minutes, you can bid on that field trip. So, with that being said, it's only the PM I said. For the AM, so if we all clock out at 8:30, where's the 10-minute rule? Can I do that in the first round or second and third round? I just gave you the answer. It's basically allowing you, I'm just giving you the information so that you guys know on your field trips what you could or could not be doing and what you're doing. True. So in second and third round, the 10-minute rule goes for the AM. So if you can get to your field trip within 10 minutes, so in middle school drivers, you guys drop at 8:20. The field trip starts at 8:30, you drop at 8:20. To me, I'm gonna say, yeah, you can have that route because it starts at 8:30, you're done with your route, you clock out at 8:30. Now, if you're running late one day because of traffic or an accident and you actually don't drop off till 8:25, I mean, I'm not gonna change a trip within one day or a few minutes, so again, we drop at 8:20, that's the latest, so. Any questions on this one? Almost done. A canceled trip guidelines. So, red, trip is scheduled within 1 week, the original driver gets the first choice. Okay, so if it was canceled and rescheduled, the driver originally gets the first choice. 4 or more hours and it's not rescheduled, they get a replacement of similar time. Weather related and not rescheduled within 1 week, we don't give you any replacements or all of the above. I can't hit skip, so it's gonna run the whole time until everybody gets an answer. Oh, we gotta get you back in? Yeah. All right, so all of the above. So when trips are canceled, these are the reasons, okay? Not reasons, but this is, I mean, they're all correct. So whether you hit the one, you're all correct. But just things to consider instead of coming to us. If your trip is only 3 hours and it was canceled, I'm not replacing it. Okay? The Devil's Head trip That's 14 hours. They canceled it the day before. Not because of weather, but because they didn't have enough student enrollment. So that driver was offered the next round, which came down last Wednesday. He was offered to go up and bid on either one trip for 14 hours or 2 trips that were equivalent to the 14 hours or closest to it. If it was weather related, which was last year, Mary, weather related, your trip was canceled, it's weather related, there's no replacements, unless they reschedule it for the next weekend. So, any questions? Okay. Keep on going. Report safety problems. When you're reporting a safety problem, are you telling the driver supervisor, which is Kelly, myself, the assistant director, Matt, the director of transportation, or all of us?
Not what order.
No, I don't pay for it, so I can't do tricky things like that and say sequential order. It doesn't work that way. So.
Okay.
They're all of the above. According to the agreement, you're supposed to inform all 3 of us. I don't know in what order, but we're all supposed to be informed. I mean, in all honesty, if you come to the office, Kelly and I are always in there together, so we hear it at once. As long as one of us is informed of the safety issue, okay? But you can contact any of us. Any questions on that one?
So what's an example of a safety issue, something wrong with the bus, or, okay?
Yep, safety issue I'm referring to is anything wrong with the bus. If you look at the agreement, number 1 says the driver supervisor, number 2 is the assistant director, and number 3 is the director. That's what the agreement says, 1, 2, 3. So. What should you do if there is a mechanical issue with a bus on the weekend or holiday? Write up a repair report. Take a different bus not assigned to another trip. Take the bus to complete the trip and call supervisor to discuss the issue while you're on that trip. Or ignore the issue and hope for the best.
Great.
Which one?
The blue one.
Blue one. Take a different bus not assigned to another driver for another trip.
And what was the red one?
The red one says, write up a repair report.
Yeah.
There's more than one correct answer, but they're only allowing you to pick one answer. So whether you get one or, it's gonna be correct if there's something up there that's wrong, but. So, write up a report. We all know that. There's something wrong with your bus, you have to write it up. If you don't write it up, it's not gonna get fixed. We won't get into an issue about anything further. We won't discuss that right now. It's about field trips. Take a different bus not assigned to another trip. How do I know who's doing that?
Look at your email.
Didn't you used to like say if the buses, if something happened to it, take this bus instead? Or there's a paper up there that used to say there was a bus.
So we send Kendall on a weekend. So Kendall emails out daily and then weekends, the whole weekend, she'll send you who's assigned and what bus. Sometimes it says van 1, because again, that's more or less for sub drivers, because depending on what route they're assigned to, they take that bus. We try to update it as soon as possible, but that's a different story. But that log is sent to you. I got called over Christmas break because somebody was just asking who else is going with me on my bus. And then I didn't answer my phone because I happened to be not next to me at that point, but they called Matt, and then I was questioning about whether or not people were being informed, when clearly this was sent out, and it says on there who you're driving with and what bus is being used. If you want to be mean, like someone said, hey, I'll take anybody's bus, it's their fault, well, now we're just causing a problem for the other one. So again, if Paul comes in and says he's mad at me and he wants to take my bus because it's broken, all I'm gonna do is take another bus. I'm not gonna complain to Kelly and say, what bus do I take? Or call me and say, what bus do I take? There's 20 buses out there. Pick an international that you have a key for. Don't take a propane because you don't have a key for it. But pick a bus, write it up, figure it out. Okay? Any other questions? Any bus that's inside the garage, yes, the keys are in there. So yeah, you got the propane. Take a bus that has a key in it. They're supposed to be in there. If a driver took it home on accident, I don't know, take the key you have with you. So. All right, I don't have to complete a child check when the coach has cleared the bus. True or false? No, all the questions are hard. What about common sense? Correct. Doesn't matter if your coach did it. You're gonna check your bus, pick up equipment, pick up things they leave their cell phones or wallets and things like that. I understand that in the previous questions, doesn't include the post trip, I get it, but I didn't write the agreement, but do we all know what happens next year? Next year, we will be voting on a new committee to be working on the working agreement that's gonna be going into effect next July. So if you have disagreements with this working agreement or the wording, join the committee or even just state your suggestions so they know them when they're writing these up.
So when you do your child check,
Yep.
now I know what post trip is.
Mm-hmm.
Do they consider that a post trip?
Part of your post trip, doing your child check.
Correct. But a post trip is walking the whole bus and make sure everything, so that's what I'm asking. Is that part of the post trip?
Your child check?
I know that's part of the post trip, but I'm just saying,
You can say it 20 times the same way, my answer's gonna be the same.
okay.
It's gonna be yes. Okay? I'm not gonna trip on the words up, but the answer is yes, but I didn't write the agreement, so your time back is your travel time and your 2-minute walk. If you wanted to add something else, then you have to bring it up and have it approved. Okay? All right, here we go, we're almost done. 23, it is not my responsibility to clean someone else's bus after I used it to complete a field trip. Says it is not my responsibility to clean someone else's bus after I used it to complete a field trip. I understand if we assign you a bus and it's messy, because during the winter time, everybody at the middle school will take a bus out of here. You cannot take a bus out of the middle school on the weekend or a holiday. It's all coming out of here. So if you pick a dirty bus and it's dirty, I'm not saying make it spick and span, clean the windows, sweep it out, mop it out, but make sure it at least looks the way you got it.
Well, I can say this. If I get a dirty bus, and it's dirty when I get on, I'm gonna make sure when I get off of it, it's the same way I get off of it, because I'm not cleaning somebody's bus. Because I feel like I'm at the school, but when I'm at the school, I try to clean my bus, I'm sitting there waiting for school to come out. So that way my bus is clean for whoever gets on my bus.
I understand that.
Make it on my bus and it's dirty, then I'm gonna come in here and put it down.
I'm not telling you to clean somebody's bus, but it's to look the way that it was left. Don't make it worse, don't destroy it, okay? But in all honesty, it's your bus. Why anybody doesn't take ownership in their own space, that's not, that's their own personal thing. And we tried talking to everybody, and we've done it several times. I've said about cleaning buses in here a couple times. We get complaints all the time from everybody that a bus is being dirty, and why am I getting this bus? My bus is broken down and I get a dirty one. I'm not the maid either, I'm not gonna go in there and inspect that bus. But if everybody took ownership on their own bus and cleaned it, then we wouldn't have this issue. Last question. It is the mechanic's responsibility to ensure all proper safety equipment is on my bus for my field trip. It is Jeremy's and it is Fidel's responsibility to make sure that I have what I need on my bus for my field trip. That is correct. It's your responsibility. And your responsibility is to notify them that you need it. They don't know what field trips are. They have a list, they know what bus you're taking, but they don't know if it needs special equipment. You guys see everything we see. It does not say I need 2 5 points on my bus. He doesn't know that. Okay? So it's your responsibility to tell them that I need that I need that equipment, okay? Any questions? No questions? No follow-ups? Okay, end of meeting.